Drought can have a crippling effect on farmers, and few know that better than the wine growers and citrus growers in South Australia's Riverland district. At the height of the drought in 2009, more than 170 of the region's growers accepted federal funding to sell their water entitlements and walk off the land for 5 years. Those agreements are now coming to an end, and many are looking for ways back into the industry. Celise Gibson reports.
The water has been switched back on at Steve Asimopoulos' block in Barmera in South Australia's Riverland for the first time in 5 years. His 6-hectare block used to be filled with wine grape vines, but like many across the Murray-Darling Basin, the drought hit hard.
It affected me in many ways, like the restrictions of the water and all that, and the cost of leasing water. There was a lot of stress. You got bank managers ringing you up who got to have payments and all that, and yeah, it did have a bit of stress on me at the time.
Mr Asimopoulos agreed to leave his block in late 2009 in exchange for a $150,000 payout from the federal government. He was one of more than 300 growers across the Murray-Darling Basin who took up the offer. Mr Asimopoulos pulled out his vines and has spent the past 5 years working for other growers during the region's wine grape harvest. The conditions of his exit grant expired last week, and he's ready to start replanting.
My aim is to plant lucerne and just probably an acre or two of tomatoes and maybe a bit of garlic. I don't like leaving the land the way it is, salt bushes. It's good to get back into the farming.
Hundreds of growers are expected to re-enter the industry as the 5-year irrigation moratoriums come to an end. Nicole Jackman from Regional Development Australia says it presents a significant opportunity for regional growth.
It would be great to have those blocks back in use again. It's a resource that we have. Land and the fertile soil that we have in the Riverland is obviously a scarce resource, and there's a lot of it currently out of production.
Is this the way forward? Is it getting them back into some sort of irrigated production?
I think people with these properties need to have a really good think about where they want to place themselves. Do they want to re-enter? Are they looking at selling their property? I think that perhaps a number of the properties will come back into use through people expanding other larger operations and taking up this land.
A series of workshops are being held across the Riverland this week, looking at how the dormant land can be best used in the future. Leighton Pearce is leading the project for the Berry-Barmera Local Action Planning Committee.
We don't want to see growers exit the industry in the future, so we're trying to arm them with the most relevant information on climate, crops, etc., so they make the right decisions.
He says exit grant growers should consider new niche industries rather than replanting citrus or wine grapes, which are in oversupply across the country.
Diversification has been the real key of these workshops. We're looking at a number of industries that these people might be looking at. Things like capers that are growing in the area, date palms, some aquaponics and hydroponics as well.
Steve Asimopoulos doesn't expect he'll return to growing wine grapes on his property. Despite the long road ahead, he says he doesn't regret his decision to exit the industry.
At the time, I couldn't afford to pay the extra water. It was an opportunity the government gave us back then to go for our exit scheme. So I was one of the growers and the lucky ones who took the offer, and 5.5 years later, I'm out there, getting back into the game.
That's the South Australian irrigator Steve Asimopoulos ending that report from Celise Gibson.